What is going on, everybody? My name is Tom Tantillo. Welcome back to another episode of Ask an IRA Specialist. And today's question is from Zach K. And he's asking, what is a prohibited transaction? A prohibited transaction is an improper transaction between an IRA and a disqualified person or party. Now, to give you guys a full breakdown as to what that is, I wanted to go ahead and define what a transaction is and what a disqualified person or party is. So disqualified persons include the IRA owner, so you, your spouse, your lineal ascendants and descendants, so grandparents, kids, grandkids, all that meant all of their spouses as well. Another disqualified person is anyone that you have a fiduciary relationship with, so like a financial advisor, limited power of attorney, anything like that. And when it comes to disqualified parties, that's any company or business that you or any of those disqualified persons have 50% or more ownership in. Now, a transaction is defined as a purchase or sale, lease or rental, or a lending of money or an extension of credit to any disqualified persons or parties. So for example, if your mom had a house, you couldn't use your IRA to buy a house from her. If you had a house within your IRA, you couldn't rent it out to your kids and grandkids. And lastly, an extension of credit, you couldn't use your IRA to loan to your mom or dad to purchase some kind of house or anything like that. Those are all disqualified persons and would trigger a prohibited transaction. Another kind of transaction would be repairing or furnishing any kind of goods or services that the IRA owns. So, for example, if your IRA recently bought a property, you yourself couldn't do any of the improvements or furnishing on it if you do plan on flipping it, for example, or just making any kind of improvements. And that also includes any of those disqualified persons or entities that I just mentioned. So you couldn't pay your mom or dad to go fix on the property as well. And if they had any kind of businesses that did any kind of construction or improvement work, you couldn't use those businesses to do those improvements on the property. Now, in case you didn't notice what I mentioned earlier, talking about disqualified persons or parties, I didn't mention anything about brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, or cousins being disqualified persons. So important to keep in mind when investing with your IRA. Now, to sort of wrap things up here, I want to go into a little bit of detail about correcting prohibited transactions if you do accidentally do one, and also the consequences of prohibited transactions if the IRS does catch you participating in that activity. So a prohibited transaction, it can be corrected within the year it occurs. If you wait until after the year it occurs to correct it, the IRS will give you 90 days to correct it after issuing you a notice through the mail. So now the consequences of prohibited transactions are pretty severe, and what I always do tell clients is that the risk reward isn't there. If you participate in prohibited transactions and you do not correct them, you risk getting your whole IRA distributed and penalized even beyond 10%. So if you do not want to be subject to these penalties, or if you have any questions about prohibited transactions, please contact your friendly IRA specialist here at NuView Trust Company, and we'll see you next time.